Fault Lines: How Hidden Fractures Still Threaten the World Economy by Raghuram G. Rajan is a book that delves into the causes of the 2008 financial crisis and its aftermath. Rajan, a former chief economist at the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and a professor at the University of Chicago, brings a unique perspective to understanding the global economy's structural weaknesses that led to the crisis.
Summary. Introduction.
Rajan begins by framing the 2008 financial crisis as a symptom of deeper underlying fault lines in the global economy. These fault lines are structural imbalances within and between economies that made the global financial system fragile and prone to collapse. The crisis, according to Rajan, was not merely a result of reckless banking practices or poor regulation, but was deeply rooted in political and economic inequalities, both domestically and internationally.
Chapter 1. Unequal Opportunities.
Rajan discusses the growing income inequality in the United States and its impact on the global financial system. He argues that the pressure on American politicians to provide access to affordable housing and credit to low-income groups, especially in the absence of significant income growth, contributed to the housing bubble. Policies that promoted homeownership for all, irrespective of income levels, led to a risky expansion of credit, which eventually culminated in the crisis.
Chapter 2. Exporting to Grow.
The book then shifts its focus to global imbalances, particularly between countries like the US, which run large trade deficits, and exporting countries like China and Germany, which run large trade surpluses. Rajan argues that these imbalances are another major fault line in the global economy. Exporting countries rely heavily on demand from the US and other deficit countries, leading to an unsustainable situation where the world economy becomes dependent on continuous consumption by debt-laden consumers in deficit nations.
Chapter 3. Flighty Foreign Funding.
Rajan also explores the role of foreign capital flows in exacerbating economic vulnerabilities. Emerging markets that rely on foreign funding are at risk of sudden stops, where capital inflows abruptly cease, leading to economic crises. He points out that during the 2008 crisis, many countries faced financial turmoil because of their dependence on foreign capital, highlighting yet another fault line in the global economic system.
Chapter 4. The Financial Sector.
A significant portion of the book is dedicated to analyzing the role of the financial sector in the crisis. Rajan critiques the incentives within the financial industry that encourage excessive risk-taking. He explains how financial institutions, driven by short-term profits and pressured by shareholders, often engage in risky behavior without adequately considering the long-term consequences. This behavior was a key contributor to the crisis, as financial institutions took on increasingly risky positions that eventually proved unsustainable.
Chapter 5. The Safety Net.
Rajan also discusses the concept of the financial safety net, such as government bailouts and guarantees, and how they can create moral hazard. He argues that while these safety nets are necessary to prevent complete economic collapse, they also incentivize risky behavior. Financial institutions, knowing that they might be bailed out in times of trouble, may take on excessive risks, leading to more frequent and severe financial crises.
Chapter 6. The Political Economy of Reform.
In the final chapters, Rajan turns his attention to possible solutions. He advocates for a more balanced approach to economic growth, one that does not rely excessively on debt-fueled consumption or export-driven growth. He also calls for better regulation of the financial sector, emphasizing the need for policies that reduce the incentives for excessive risk-taking. Rajan stresses the importance of international cooperation in addressing global imbalances and reforming the global financial system.
Conclusion.
Rajan concludes by warning that unless these underlying fault lines are addressed, the global economy remains vulnerable to future crises. He emphasizes that the solutions are not simple and will require coordinated efforts by governments, financial institutions, and international organizations.
Review. Strengths.
One of the book's greatest strengths is Rajan's ability to connect complex economic issues with broader social and political dynamics. His analysis goes beyond the surface-level explanations often offered for the financial crisis and instead provides a comprehensive view of the global economy's structural weaknesses. Rajan's insights into the political pressures that drive economic policy, particularly in the United States, are particularly compelling. Rajan's critique of the financial sector is also well articulated. He does not simply blame bankers for the crisis, but instead examines the systemic issues that lead to risky behavior. His discussion of incentives within the financial industry and the role of government safety nets in creating moral hazard is nuanced and thought-provoking. Another strength of the book is its global perspective. Rajan does not focus solely on the US, but instead examines the interconnectedness of the global economy. His discussion of global imbalances, particularly the relationship between surplus and deficit countries, is insightful and helps to explain why the crisis had such widespread effects.
Weaknesses.
While the book is highly informative, it can be dense and technical at times, particularly for readers who are not well versed in economics. Rajan's writing is clear, but the subject matter is inherently complex, and some sections may require careful reading to fully understand. Additionally, while Rajan offers a comprehensive analysis of the causes of the crisis, his solutions are somewhat vague. He calls for better regulation and more balanced economic growth, but does not provide detailed policy recommendations. This may leave some readers wanting more concrete proposals for how to address the fault lines he identifies.
Conclusion.
Fault Lines: How Hidden Fractures Still Threaten the World Economy is a deeply insightful book that offers a unique perspective on the 2008 financial crisis and its aftermath. Rajan's analysis of the structural weaknesses in the global economy is thorough and thought-provoking, making this book a valuable read for anyone interested in understanding the deeper causes of economic instability. While the book can be challenging at times due to its technical nature, it is well worth the effort for those who want a deeper understanding of the global economy's vulnerabilities. Rajan's warnings about the potential for future crises if these fault lines are not addressed are timely and relevant, making this book a crucial contribution to the ongoing debate about financial reform and economic policy.